welcome to Work the Left Side. I am happy to announce this week I am joined by the voice of True Grit Wrestling, amongst other things. But yes, I have Mr. Bobby Cash. How are we going, mate? You all right?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
Dude, been meaning to talk to you for ages. Feels like ages ago that we actually sort of set this up. So it's been a few months in the making. And finally get around to talking to you. So yeah, obviously any True Grit fans will know you as the voice, the man in the ring, just telling everybody what to do, what's going on. I think you've got a very wide spectrum of things to talk about, things you've done in wrestling. So I don't actually really know where to start. So I'm just kind of going to lay it out on you and just be like, I'll ask the generic question first. How did you get involved in wrestling?
Well, it was I've been a wrestling fan my whole life, like everyone. Everyone does all the online boards and all that kind of stuff. And then it was 2012, yeah. So towards the end of 2011, 2012, I decided to. It was one of them like, if I don't try it now, I don't know when I will. Like I've got to give it a go. How old was I then? 20. Yeah, so I was 20, and I thought, I've got to do it now. I've got to go, and I did, but I didn't know where to start. I remember because I live in Stockport. Don't tell anyone from the True Grit audience that I'm not from Yorkshire. I'm from Lancashire. I know, blasphemous. Now, the voice of a Yorkshire company could be from Stockport. But I remember seeing posters around town, Stockport, and of the Future Shock Wrestling. I didn't actually train there, but it was all like, I saw it for years and years. I was like, wow, wrestling, that's cool. Never went to a show. Never went, because I didn't have any wrestling fan friends. Got no friends.
No.
You know how it is. None of them. They'd all grown out of it, like they do. And then I just thought, yeah, I'm gonna give it a go. I'm gonna see what's what. My first point was I was gonna reach out to Future Shock, but I didn't, because I actually messaged about it to my cousin, Mike Bishop. His name's Mike Bishop. He was a former wrestler for a brief time, and he was a referee for FWA, Frontier Wrestling Alliance. Did a few shops down there, and he used to wrestle for GPW.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I asked him. I said, "Do you know, like, where can I go?" And he recommended Grand Pro Wrestling. He didn't reach out to, because the head trainer's Johnny Brannigan. Yeah. He didn't reach out to him or anything like that. He just told me about Grand Pro Wrestling, and then I booked up the courage to send him a message, and I did. And he said that the induction day was the 6th of February 2012. I remember that. So I walked in and I trained there that's where I started. That's where I got my foot in the door. Grand Pro Wrestling 2012. I'm so glad that they're back, by the way.
Yes.
So yeah. I don't want to waffle too long. Yeah. So walked into Grand Pro Wrestling. The Johnny on the induction day. Because you don't just at the time I don't know if they do it now. I have no idea, but at the time they didn't have just anyone turn up every week. They'd have an induction class every few months. So my induction class was, I'm trying to remember some names. A couple of them might have been the one just before me, and a couple of them are just the ones after me, but they all merged together in the end. I know my induction class was Lana Austin.
Wow.
Was my induction class. And I was also training in there with Kev Lloyd, Sexy Kev. There was also Mickey Barnes was in there. He wrestles for Mega Slam a lot now. He was a GPW British champion now. He was in there. A lot of the more experienced trainees became like they helped Johnny, like do drills. So there was Sam Gradwell. There was the Island brothers, if you remember them. One of them were Rio, and then obviously Nush he's not wrestling anymore. Damon Lee, he'd be in there sporadically. He'd be in there when he was free. I know he's a busy person, but yeah, I love Damon. So yeah, for a few months, so for a few months, it was coming in on a Sunday, Salage Gym, Sunday afternoons. I used to play Sunday League football as well, so I used to play Sunday League football in the morning and then go to wrestling school in the afternoon. So I was dead to rights at Sunday dinner. But it was an amazing place. Like they had this at the time. It was like the third floor of this gym, and they had a 20-foot ring.
Wow.
Which obviously I wasn't there at the time, but when I think the story was that when Sam Gradwell will probably vouch for this, but when they actually had to lift the ring into the building through the windows, so they had to pull it up with rope to get it in, and it's learning to wrestle in a 20-foot ring is great if that's where you want to go in life, because we know who uses 20-foot rings, but when you step out of a 20-foot ring and you go into a 16-foot ring or smaller, it's a big step. But yeah, so every Sunday for a while, I was training in there 2 or 3 hours a week. I loved it, absolutely loved it. Especially at the time, you got no responsibilities. All you want to do is wrestle and stuff like that. And I want to just point out, a lot of the stuff that I've ever done in wrestling has been very lucky. Like, right place at the right time. It is, wrestling cliche is very much, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I see that as a positive in my experience. Meeting people, because I've got like two careers, if you want to call it that. I had my first run and then this current run, and the people that I've met that have helped me along the way, I'm going to put them over as we go along because they deserve it, and they're all amazing people. But I remember I started out as a colour commentator.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not much of a commentator these days. I don't know any of the names of the moves. So, anyway, it was GPW. Johnny Brannigan came up to me one afternoon at training. Like, hey, gosh, you talk a lot. I was like, thanks for that. Yeah, cheers. He said, no, we need a colour commentator for the shows, for the DVDs. Do you want to do it? And this was 6 months into wrestling. I hadn't even been there 6 months yet. This was in the August of 2012. He said, do you want to be the colour commentator? And I was like, yeah, cool. It was definitely one of those, I don't know about this, but yes. So my first ever British wrestling show that I ever attended, I was on it. And it was a great. That's the great thing about GPW was, even though I was just starting and wasn't getting paid for it, they gave you a DVD. They gave you the DVD for free. It did to me anyway. I don't know if he did it for anybody else, but he gave me a copy of the show, so I got to hear it back. My first main event was actually with Robbie Brookside was in the main event of that show, and whether I should admit this or not, I wasn't really a British wrestling connoisseur by any stretch. I only ever watched wrestling on telly. I didn't go to any Brit Rest shows. The only wrestlers that I knew were the ones that I trained with. So Robbie Brookside is a big deal now, 100% for the British wrestling scene. What he's done for the scene has been really special. But at the time, I was like, oh yeah, cool, who's this guy? He's great. Am I a wrestling historian? Yes, for like American wrestling. Tell me anything about World of Sport, anything about Japanese wrestling, Mexican wrestling. No chance. And that's just the way it is.
I say it's the same for a lot of people, though, dude. It's not just you. I mean, obviously, people get into wrestling because they've watched it on TV, they've watched WWF, they've watched WCW or TNA or whatever. So I don't think anyone can hold it against you for not knowing at that point in your career, you know, British wrestlers kind of thing. It's one of those things, you either know them or you don't. You're either a vivid fan of the British scene, or you just, like I said, you get into it because you've seen the American stuff.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I would think it's obviously a lot more accessible now.
Yeah.
For anyone to, I mean, you've seen some of the content that True Grit puts out, North, Progress, Rev Pro, everyone all over the OTT, you know. It's like there, right at your fingertips for you to be able to watch what you want to watch. I mean, it's only 11 years ago, and you had to have like a Vimeo like subscription to watch stuff. Like I said at the time, I didn't have any friends who liked watching wrestling, so I didn't go to shows. Obviously that changes as you start training longer and you become friends with people. But yeah, GPW was amazing, an amazing time in my young adolescence, if you want to call it that.
I'm glad GPW got a mention because, yeah, friend of the show. Spoken to I've had Johnny on, you know, previously to big up, you know, like the anniversary show when they came back. So yeah, I've got all the time in the world for GPW. I think they're absolutely awesome. Johnny's cool, and the roster's amazing. And it sounds like, yeah, you had a wealth of, I mean, training with in or around at the same time as Sam Gradwell. That's pretty
Sam
cool.
Gradwell taught me how to do a back body drop.
Nice.
He taught me how to do lots of things. But I think the thing that I enjoyed the most about GPW training was doing drills at the start, which is great, but he let you wrestle at the end. Like what you'd learn at the start of the session, you'd go into a period of time where you get paired up with someone, and it's like, right, you're going to have a 5-minute match, go and plan it, and then go ahead and do it. And, you know, I had a couple of training matches which I really enjoyed. I mean, whether Johnny liked it or not, I have no idea. But probably thought they were terrible because he's kills you with sarcasm. So oh, yeah. He's one of those trainers where he didn't actually say it. He never actually said anything nice to you, but he didn't mean it. Like you know what it's like.
Yeah.
But I had a match with Nick Maguire. Remember Nick Maguire? He's bald now, and yeah, I had a training match with him, which is great. But I never really got any further than that with GPW in the ring. Yes, I was the ring announcer not the ring announcer. I was the color commentator for about 6 months. No gimmick. It was just the heel color commentator. You know, nothing special. And then Richard Parker retired. If you remember Richard Parker, he was the ring announcer for PCW.
Yes.
Does a lot of theatre stuff now, which is great. He was the ring announcer at GPW before me. And then Johnny came up to me again. It was another situation. Richard Parker decided to stop. So he said, Bobby Cash, do you want to be the ring announcer? I was like, yeah, sure. Okay, all right, cool. Now, I've always thought of myself as quite extroverted. Like, I think I'm quite confident in crowds, quite confident in social situations. I wasn't then. Not then. my first ring announcing gig was Back with a Bang 2013. So it'll be 10 years from this January, because they're coming back with that, aren't they, in January? Back with the Bang 2013. Stood behind the curtain. Ready. Gash, are you ready? Gash, are you ready? Like, nope. Didn't have any music. I was like, I don't. What music am I coming out to? Like, do I come out? I don't know what the show music is. I don't really pay attention. And he said, "Don't worry, I've got it covered." Okay. Went out to "Smart Dressed Man" by ZZ Top. I was like, I'm yeah. Again, that kind of music genre is not really. It was at the time. It wasn't really my thing. But okay, fair enough. That's fine. Every time I hear that song now, it just reminds me of bricking it before the show. You do the generic walk around the ring and try and high five people who aren't bothered about you at all. I remember got in the ring, did my. You've seen me do my introductions at shows. I haven't really changed it in 10 years. It's pretty much been the same the whole time. I said, "Good evening, Wigan," the big dramatic voice, and then proceeded to say nothing for 30 seconds. Like nothing. I didn't say a word for almost a minute. I walked over to the corner next to the referee, and I said, "I have no idea what to say." And he went, "Say your name." And then told him, said that, and then we got into it. And then for the rest of the show, it was fine. It was pretty smooth sailing. But yeah, first ever ring announcing gig. Good evening, Wigan. Nothing. Not a thing. Not a thing. Not a thing.
Wow. I'm not surprised, actually, after you talking about your entrance and stuff. Obviously, seeing it at True Grit when you come out, you're hitting those ropes, man. I'm looking at you like, that dude knows how to hit the ropes, in fairness. So that might be the GPW days coming back.
I was a lot fitter back then. I can't really do it too long. But yeah, I mean, if we just in the timeline, just did that for I was the GPW ring announcer for just shy of 2 years. Through all the shows, I only missed one. I missed one show for a wedding, and I didn't. I was at the show. I announced one match, but I was at GPW's 10th anniversary show, which was at the time was the biggest audience I ever performed in front of, because it was like 500 people. That might be a bit too overestimated there, but I take it you've been in that building. You know how you can fit a lot of.
I haven't, unfortunately. I've always wanted. I've never managed to make it over. It's
you need to. It's amazing.
Johnny's reached out to me, sort of, invited me over, and I was like, if I can get there, I'd love to get there at some point. So it is on the list.
Oh, you definitely should. It's a bit more favourable now, being on a Sunday afternoon, because it used to be on Friday night. It used to be on Friday nights. So you had to leave work, hump it all the way to Wigan, and then stuff like that. But yeah, and working there, you're meeting other people, and then again, you meet people. People meet people, and you get other opportunities, which again, like I said before, is a lot of circumstance, a lot of luck. They brought on Mark Pearson. I don't know if you remember Mark Pearson, long dreadlocks. Yeah, he used to have his own YouTube show and stuff like that. They reached. I don't know if he reached out to them or if they reached out to him, but he became the new color. He became the new play-by-play when I was still on commentary. And we struck up a really great friendship, me and him, even outside of like shows. And then he ended up helping us get work for Great Bear Promotions. Yeah. This is the Zack Sabre Jr. story, which I'll talk to you about in a minute. Great Bear Promotion. If I told you some of the wrestlers that this promotion had. It was a small promotion in Cheshire, Sandbach, Congleton, like all up near. It's closer to me, obviously. Cheshire, other side of Cheshire. But you'd run Sandbach Town Hall, which was a really nice venue. Great for wrestling. It's very much, I'd compare it to True Grit's venue in York. A bit smaller, a bit more intimate. And he got Mark helped us get work there, commentator. That's where I thought, I'm away from GPW and my training school. I have more freedom now to kind of try something, try things. The main event, the first show we were on, was Zack Sabre Jr. versus Jonathan Gresham.
Jesus.
That was the main event in front of 80 people, maybe 100 people. It was fantastic. Like I couldn't keep up with like the technical wrestling. I couldn't keep up with it. They had a great thing going there. They had their belt, the Great Bear Grand Championship. It was called. It was a belt, but the strap was furry, like bear fur. On the inside, it was fantastic. And they put the belt on DDL, Damon Lee.
Yeah.
And the caveat with that belt was that it was always defended in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Like always, so it'd be the same. Not obviously, you don't want to say, "Oh, it's the same match every month," but it was very much a kid, family orientated show. So you'd have the match where Damon versus I'll reel off a few that I can remember from the top of my head. We had Damon versus Joey Hayes, Damon versus Sam Bailey, Damon versus Chuck Taylor.
Wow.
He was Chuck Taylor was there. It was like cool. But it would always be, and there's no detriment to anyone at all, it's just the way that it was booked. It was fantastic, it always worked. It was Damon would lose the first fall. No, Damon would win the first fall. And then he would lose the second fall. And then he would almost lose. And then he would cheat to win. And but he'd always go home, they'd always send the crowd home happy. He'd always get battered by someone. After that, he got his face put in a cake once. And one of the highlights was that we did a show in a leisure centre gym for less than 20 people. Sam Bailey did a Hurricane Rana from a basketball hoop. Like he jumped up, grabbed it, and then did it. It was amazing. Wrapped him up in the sports hall where they put the curtain across to split it. Put Damon in one of them and wrapped him up. It was amazing. Worked there with Mark a lot. Mark Adams was the ring announcer for them.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So I've been knowing him for a long time. But I tell you what, it's too late now. I should have got it up earlier. One of the cards for Great Bear, because Great Bear was, I can't put it over enough. It was not very well. Didn't draw very well. The pay was what it was. You never saw any of the shows. To be honest, I asked the booker, Jared is called, if he had any footage from any of the shows on anything, so he could send it. He said no. But the talent that he managed to get, because there was a big core Manchester group and there was a big core Midlands group. So the Manchester side of things, or the Northwest, if you like, there was Damon, there was Sam, there was Joey, there was Melanie Price was there a lot. And then from the you had like the henchmen were booked there a lot, and then you had Pete Dunne, Damian Dunne, Chris Brooks, Tyler Bate, CJ Banks was there, but then he'd also get people from abroad that I'd never heard of, including I'd never heard of them. Everyone else did, like Jonathan Gresham, Zack Sabre Jr. I knew who he was. Zack Sabre Jr., Chuck Taylor, Ilya Dragunov
Wow.
was on one of our shows. That wasn't his name, I don't think. He wrestled Tyler Bate in a high school gym in front of no one. And then I was desperate for them to like get. If you book that show now, that's the crazy thing. If you book that show, they had Mark Andrews, Flash Morgan Webster was on shows. You know, Saxon Huxley, he was on there. Oh man, yeah, amazing. But if you booked that show today, you'd get thousands.
Yeah.
You would. You would. No matter who's main, who's opening, who's whatever match, you'd get loads. And the sad thing about it was that it got to a point where Jared didn't want to do it anymore. He just wanted to go out with a bang. And it was like summer 2014 because the World Cup was on. I just remember they did a double weekender, which wasn't booked and promoted very well at all. Did like a junior heavyweight cup tournament, which had all those guys that were in it for a one-day tournament. And then the next day, they put another show. It was like a farewell show in a little workingmen's club next to a church on a Sunday. Yeah, it was a Sunday afternoon. So the card was, and I'm just dropping names everywhere. Just dropping names everywhere. If you like it, great. If you don't, this is my interview. The card was, actually, I can't remember what the card was, but some of the matches you had Tyler Bate versus someone, Josh Bowden, but Tyler Bate was on it, and then you had Nixon Newell, who is Tegan Knox now, versus Toni Storm. And this is when they were obviously just starting out, or just starting to get going up this way, you know. And then they also had, I'll tell you in a minute. Anyway, so what happened is that the show, and I got to wrestle on that show. I said it's the last show, and I've had this gimmick. I had the Miz's gimmick before he started doing it. I was like, my gimmick was a Hollywood Z-lister. So like my claim to fame was that I was in like a Hello magazine. Like it's like, what are you talking about? And I could sit there with a jacket on and sunglasses, and I'd have a fake glass of champagne while I'm doing colour commentary and all that kind of stuff. It's just like no pictures. Yeah, I'd have a whiteboard. I used to take a whiteboard with me and write messages on the whiteboard whilst matches were happening, which was stupid because why are you taking focus away? But there's one person who liked it, and it was Damon Lee. He used to do, because his gimmick was the deadly Damon Lee. He wasn't dangerous Damon Lee. He was deadly Damon Lee, big heel. He used to have a big big hooded cloak, like a Sith Lord. And he used to do the 7 deadly suplexes. That was his finish. But it wasn't 7 suplexes one after another. It was 7 suplexes throughout the match. If he hits you with, I think 7 was the sweet spot, he said. 7 deadly suplexes. And they used to do a tally chart for him on the whiteboard so he could remember how many he's done. He said it was really helpful. Anyway, so I said, I've been a bit of a, I swear then, I've been a bit of a bad boy. Can I wrestle on the show? Can I just have one match? Just one. It doesn't have to be anything. So he let me wrestle Sam Bailey. Sam Bailey was really kind about it. He said that he'd let me. He said he'd let me wrestle him. I could do like 2 moves to him, and then he'll just beat me. I said that's fine. That's fine. So we turn up. I didn't go out on the Saturday night, but everyone else did. So they all turned up blisteringly hungover. Doors opened. Fantastic. Doors open. Just peeked out the curtain. There was less than 10 people in there. Less than 10 people. A couple of them were like friends of people. So Jared just came back, said, "Right, we're just going to start the show. Just gonna go for it." sends out Tyler Bate and Josh Bowden, and they have their match, and then he sends out the girls, and they have their match, and then then me and Sam had ours, and then we just kind of all ended up having fun with it. Like, I wore a pair of Sam Bailey's tights. He had the same pair, but in a different colour scheme. So we were wearing the same gear. I'm trying to find. There are pictures of this online, on Facebook. But then after that match, there was the interval, and then Jared just came to the back and just said, "Whatever we've got planned for the rest of the show, it's not happening. Yeah, we're going to do a 12-man tag for the second half of the show. The entire second half of the show was a 12-man tag team match, and it was for the world title. Sorry, not the world. You know what I mean? Like, it was for the belt. It was an elimination match. It was for the belt. I was like, right. Oh God. I was like, right. Okay. So what is it? So what are the teams then? So it was me. So I was on team heel. So there was me, Damon, Pete Dunne, Damian Dunne. I think Flash Morgan Webster was heel for this, and Ian Field, who's a guy. He's Two Shades, Jet Fashion. That's his name now. Versus Sexy Kev, Tyler Bate, Chris Brooks, Zack Sabre Jr., Sam Bailey, and Axel Dieter Jr., who is now Ludwig Kaiser in Imperium. So we had a 12-man tag. I started the match, was super kicked immediately and eliminated. I said, that's all I want to do. I'm not bothered about anything else. Super kick by Sam Bailey. 1, 2, 3. Get out. But then we just decided to not go to the back. We just sat in the front row and watched the rest of the match. So that all happened. Axel Dieter Jr. won the belt at the end. It's like him versus Damon was the final two, and then he won the belt, and then that's it. And then that was it. That was the end. It was filmed. It was filmed, but apparently it got lost. I don't believe that for a second. I believe it's out there somewhere. It really is. It was the best 12-man tag elimination match you've ever seen that no one will ever see. No one will ever see it. But I hope, Jared, if you're listening, or Chris Brooks is probably the more likely one. He's probably got it. Get it out there. Get it out there.
Wow. It could be like
I've rambled for a while there, but I just really want people to understand how important Great Bear Wrestling was to this scene. Because it gave younger new wrestlers a chance to do what they want to do what they can do. Yeah.
I know, I've never even heard of it though, and I like to think I know a little bit, about British wrestling. Never even heard of that promotion, but that's
so niche. It's real. It was so. If you were there, you were there, and you were in. You were there for all the shows. You had a great laugh. It was a fantastic place to wrestle, and to work. And it's a real shame. It is a real shame that they didn't. I mean, after that show, they did do a couple of more. They did try to come back. I just don't think it was viable for him, because these guys at the time, by then, a lot of the guys that he'd used had got bigger. They'd got more. They'd got more up here,
That's fun.
But check it. I mean, sorry. One more thing. There's a video library there. I'm telling you, there is a valuable one. People, sorry. Carry on.
Well, like I said, you always got these before they were famous or before they were big stars. Gosh, you got a whole lot of footage, and a fairy belt, dude. That's awesome.
That's amazing. It was amazing. I do wonder where it is. It's probably in Jared's cupboard under the stairs or something. But yeah, it was a fairy belt. It was brilliant.
If who wants to sell it, I've got to tell her. I'll put it behind me. I'll have it as like a part of the show. We can pay remembrance to a Great Bear on a weekly basis, and we'll just have the belt behind us or something. That'd be amazing.
It'd go well with Ted. Put it around Ted's waist there behind you.
There you go, Bosh. He's a Great Bear. He's a Great Bear.
Get it booked.
Obviously, you mentioned Zack Sabre Jr. I think you've had a few meetings, a few in-ring times together.
No, that's the funny
That's the
thing.
one.
That's it.
That's the one.
That's
Wow.
it. I told this. I said, I've been in a match with Zack Sabre. Technically, you can't take that away from me. It's there on paper.
No.
I've
No,
had about as many matches with Zack Sabre Jr. I've had as many main events with Zack Sabre Jr. than Bryan Danielson has. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? Probably not. Maybe
no,
even more.
I think they've had the one meeting and that's it. So it's the same as you, Bobby Cash, Brian Danielson,
One.
on a level, and that's it. Like I said before the recording, man, that's going to be the soundbite. That's going to be the takeaway. I tend to edit videos sometimes and just put little 30-second clips out. And that's
fine. That's fine because the context of that is daft.
It works. It works. So obviously, yeah, from GPW then to, well, I think, like you said, that was your first thing outside of GPW. So that must have given you that freedom, that kind of acknowledgement, a little bit of like, right, okay, I'm out of the, out of the safe house.
It was, yeah.
Somebody else wants me.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great feeling to it was actually like getting hired, like to do a job for someone. A lot of, I don't really know. I don't train anymore, so I don't really know what it's like if people get paid to work the shows for the people they train for. I don't really know if that's a thing still or if it's changed now. But we didn't at the time, and it's fine. It was a it was a hobby. It was something you wanted to get your foot in the door. But to actually get like a nice cold £20 note in your hands at the end of the show it was a good feeling. It was a good feeling. And again, it's all just because Mark Pearson was a fan of the product, and he asked, "Does anyone commentate on these shows?" And he said no. So he said, "Well, I'll do it, and Bobby can do it with me." And yeah, it really was very much a commentary partnership for a while.
Nice. You mentioned Mark Adams as well. I want to give Mark out. Mark's an awesome human being as well. I'll say about Mark. Many people also know him from PCW, amongst a few other places, but that's where I kind of encountered Mark when I used to go to PCW on a regular basis. And I just think Mark's great. So any chance I get to shout,
Mark's great. Mark's really talented. I don't want him getting ring announcing gigs over me though, because
No.
No, he's really good. Like he worked True Grit in York last month. They brought him on with Tom McManus to do commentary for the show, and because I live nearby, we went together. And he was open and honest in the car journey. He said, "I don't know a lot of the wrestlers because I've not worked on any shows with them." And then I was sat next to him all night, and you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know that he didn't really know a few. If he didn't know a few of the people and stuff like that, he's a pro, man. He's a pro. He's underrated. That's what I'd say. Mark Adams is underrated.
Definitely. And so obviously, GPW, Great Bear, obviously eventually True Grit. Any other memorable moments?
There's a big gap there.
Yeah.
There's a big gap. So when I was working, I was active in British wrestling in the Northwest from 2012 till 2015. And in that time, I got a few spot gigs through recommendations, which is great. I worked a NGW show. I worked that once. They weren't in Hull though. It was in Keith, which is in Bradford. Yeah. They needed a guy, and one of the wrestlers, he recommended me to the guy, so I got to do that. That was filmed for telly when they used to do. Was it Wrestle? It was on Challenge. That's the one.
I was at that show. I was at that show in Keith. Yeah. Yeah, I actually got to see you. I didn't actually realise. Sorry, dude. I
got super kicked by Dara Diablo.
Yes.
I was less beard, less. I was very young. I was very young looking. pre-children. And but I only worked the one show. Yeah, I can't even remember any of the matches that are on the show. Don't remember any of the matches. I only remember it was being directed, if you like, by G-Man, who does Pro Wrestling Noah now.
Okay.
He's like the English host. I call it that. And he was directing the show as if it was like live TV.
Okay.
So that was a really cool experience because I had time cues, I had like countdowns. I couldn't just, how you see me at True Grit. I'm very, I wouldn't want to say casual. I wouldn't want to say I'm a bit of a stickler. I like to have fun with what I'm doing. But I couldn't really do it at NGW. It was very much right. You wait there, and then when I do this, it's go. That was great. And then I haven't worked for them ever. I haven't worked for them since. I must have been terrible. Then I've worked for. I'm just trying to. This is a very name droppy podcast. I won't.
No, go for it.
I never really talked about wrestling about myself this long before. Wrestling, so it's nice. House of Pain, or was it Hope, which was run by Harvey Dale, I think. Not Styx.
That's
Styx.
That's Hope. House of Pain is Styx. Hope is Harvey.
Yeah, it was Hope. Because Mark Adams worked for them, and then they needed a colour commentator, so I worked for them. They did a Rumble show at Walkabout in Leeds. Or was it Derby? I can't remember. But Rockstar Spud was on the show. But they delivered a boxing ring instead of a wrestling ring. Oh. And the rope, three ropes were literally, the bottom rope was like here. So it was hilarious. It was, no one cared. It was just like, who cares? Just go and have fun.
Everyone I can imagine Spud just going under the bottom rope, to be fair.
Yeah, everyone was leathered. No, he won the match, so he didn't need to. And then, apart from those, are like one-offs. The only other place I worked for in a regular sense was a promotion called HXC Wrestling.
Manchester.
Yes. HXC. It was over 18s. It was a bit like Rise. It's a bit like Rise.
Yeah. It was in a nightclub, wasn't it, in Manchester?
It was, yeah. It was at the Manchester Student Union. So I went to a show as a fan with some people. Finally made some friends. And the booker is a guy called Mike Huff. He's a really nice guy. He was like a club night promoter, as opposed to like a wrestling promoter. But he wanted to do wrestling stuff, which is cool. And he had trouble with one of the security guards or one of the managers at the venue they did. Because someone went through a fire door, set off the fire alarm and all that kind of stuff. Then basically told him that you can't run shows here anymore because of that. I was like, when he told me this, I was like, anyway, he decided that he wanted to do a gimmick about that on his shows. Because these are like over 18s, hardcore wrestling, very underground, very gritty, very like, a bit like Rise, but not as strong. And again, very blessed, like very lucky. He asked someone, do you know anyone who could be who'd play this role quite well? He didn't ask me. He asked Violet Vendetta.
Yes.
Anna. He asked her, and she said me. Because she knew me from a couple of things. She knew me from Great Bear. And he texted me, didn't know who it was, didn't know him. And he said, I've got this gimmick I'm thinking of doing, and Anna's vouched for you, saying that you could do it. do you want to meet up? So yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, let's do that. I thought this is really, he's very much a promoter, businessman, as opposed to like a wrestling booker. So he wanted to meet people, and I was local as well, so that helps. And we met. And he said, "I want to do a gimmick where you are Cyrus the Virus from ECW's Final Days. He wants to shut it down. He doesn't want anything." So I turned up. I got changed. I wore a shirt and tie with a jumper over the top with nice shoes. We filmed a couple of vignettes. I don't think they ever actually, I think one of them might have got put online, of basically telling of me playing this gimmick. Robert J. Cash. Yeah, that was my name, Robert J. Cash. I was the spokesperson for the HXC sponsors.
Nice.
That was my gimmick. I worked for the people that pay HXC to run shows. So I worked for them. I basically went in there, did a couple of vignettes where it was like, this kind of wrestling is not acceptable. This is supposed to be a sport. Violence is not the way. All this kind of stuff. So the first show was that debuted this gimmick. They had, because he used to run nightclubs and he used to run a strip club, I think, as well. So he got one of the girls from his club to come into the ring, to be like a bit of to get the crowd up. Very male-dominated crowd, you know what I mean? So, and then as soon as the music started and she started to do what she was doing, I ran out and covered her up with a big coat. Yeah, and then it kind of built and built. I was hated naturally because I tried to stop violent, hardcore wrestling, tried to stop it all, and started to have a little bit of a vendetta against the staff. Like Mark Adams was the commentator, and there was Matt Richards who was also there. He was the ring announcer. Didn't like him either. And it kind of built up because I also debuted. Oh, they had debuted a gimmick which was called the Brotherhood of Purity. I won't give away their identities. But they'd have they all had masks on, and they're like the crosses and stuff like that, and they're all like this, and it's like they're pure. They're here to clean up GPW, HXC, and then I took them on as my henchmen. Me and Mike, I was just really it was a great time for me creatively because I got to actually work with Mike in booking the shows. He would book them. He would book the show. He'd book everything out. But he asked me for ideas, and we did the again the talent they had there. They had Sam Bailey was there, Damon Lee was there. They had Ashton Smith was where he came. He'd been away and for a bit, and then he came back at HXC, and I started a feud with Ashton Smith. Because he went to Manchester Uni, I think. So everyone was he was a big baby face, all that kind of stuff. And it got to a point actually where he managed to book the Ritz in Manchester, where Progress run now, in Manchester. And he used to do WrestleMania Sunday. He'd do WrestleMania Sunday. So we'd go to do the show, and everyone would go back to the bar, go to the venue to watch WrestleMania together. That was fantastic. He made me the general manager of HXC. I was in charge of the show, and that was an amazing time. That was fun. That was a great time. That was the most people I've ever performed in front of in one go. I've got footage as well. They had a HXC Rumble for some reason. I don't know why I was in it. Yeah. But yeah, and then that's where it kind of curtailed for me. That was the peak. Life kind of took over at that point. Went through a little bit of a rough go of it. towards the end of 2014, and made the decision to step away. Yeah, it was hard. It was hard. It was a hard time because I was loving it, and I was doing a really good thing. I think I was due to debut for GPW to wrestle. Like I was going to transition from announcer to.
Oh, cool.
I mean, I don't really want to get in. I don't want to get into it too much, but it was a choice that was to be made, and I made the choice. And I'm glad that I did. I wouldn't have 3 children and a wonderful wife if I didn't. I don't regret it.
Really?
So there was a big gap,
Like,
2015 to 2022, where I wasn't involved. Yeah. I did the odd shot for Future Shock one couple of weeks for a couple of months. But yeah, I was out for 7 years. Yeah.
what pulled you back in then? Was it True Grit that pulled you back, or did the?
No, it wasn't actually. So this is like the start of my second run now.
Yeah.
So I had the first run. It was great. It ended in terms that I didn't, ended in terms that I didn't want. And then I had children, which is fantastic, great. I didn't have time because I got to the point where it's like if I want to be on shows, I want to have to train to wrestle, and I don't have the money for it. B, I don't really want to. But there was a tweet online by Chris Rossington Clark, who is virtual. He ran Barracks Pro Wrestling in Stoke-on-Trent, and he said, "I need a ring announcer. Does anyone know anyone?" And me and him have been friends for a few years. We did soccer and spandex a few times. If you ever did that with Dean.
Yeah, I've been to 2 of those. Yeah.
Yeah. So I went to I played in the first 2. Me and Chris met there. We never talked about wrestling. Never. We always talked about football. Like whenever we spoke online or anything like that. So I messaged him. He took this tweet out and he said, "I need a ring announcer. I need a ring announcer for tonight. Does anyone have any? Does anyone know anyone?" And I just texted him. I just said, "I'm happy to do it. If you can just spot me some money for petrol, I'll come and do it." So he said, "Yeah, lifesaver kind of thing." Went down, and I hadn't done this for 8 years. And I was like, I don't know anyone. I can't even remember what. I don't remember anything. And it wasn't like I kept, obviously from when I left, when I came back, I'd kept up with everyone. Like I knew what was going on. I didn't really know a lot of new people, but I knew what was going on. And I went down and did the show, and it was great. The crowd were really nice. They were really welcoming. They were really loud and vocal. The show was good. Barracks was very much a couple of experienced guys, couple of newbies, couple of trainees. Nothing to make. Act 2 was the main event. They wrestled each other.
Nice.
Jack Knudsen and Benjamin Howland, who are amazing. They're so good. And then he said, "Do you want to do it every month?" Because they had a show every month, every 6 weeks. It was the last Friday of the month. "Do you want to do it every month?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I do. Yeah, I really do. Bit of pocket money never goes amiss, and rainy day fund, as I like to call it." So I thank Chris Rossington Clark, aka Birchall, for pulling me back in. He got me my foot back in the door when I thought it was closed, because you just do. I think the thing is with wrestling, when you're in, and when you're out, you're out. There's no dip a toe.
Yeah.
They've got their careers. I don't know why I did this. They've got their careers. They've got their focus, their view, what they want to do. I mean, if you go to a show and you see them, then that's great. But if you're not in, you're not. And it's just a harsh reality.
And
But I was back in.
It was just pure luck that you saw that tweet, dude, as well.
It was. I mean, it's pure luck, and we were friends anyway. So I just thought I'd help a friend. And I did the shows for a few months, and I think it was a shame because the last show that I did for him, it was the day before my birthday, and like he did like a roster birthday song and cake for me in the middle of the ring, which was a surprise, and that was really nice and stuff like that. And that's when I knew that I was like, I really feel like welcome, yeah, because I knew Chris. I've known him for years, but I didn't know anyone else. And then it's again, it's all circumstance. It's like I worked for Burnley for Unstoppable British Wrestling in Burnley. That was another case of we need a ring announcer. Does anyone know anyone? And Matt Fox, Matt Fox.
Yeah.
He has he's an old friend from the Runcorn training school, and I've known him for a long time. And he mentioned me, and then again he mentioned me, and then they reached out, and that was it. I was ring announcing for Unstoppable British Wrestling until very recently. That was great. I really, really enjoyed working there because that was a different vibe. It was very much kids and their parents, and again the talent that they have on show, and that was great. And that's where I met Jake Silver from Crash Boat.
Yeah.
Well, I met both of them. But I love Jake. He's a fantastic person. Again, I barely ever talk about wrestling with Jake. I always talk about football. Because he had a great gimmick at Unstoppable because he sports Leeds, and the audience was very pro Burnley. And at the time, Leeds stayed up and Burnley went down. So he was having the time of his life because Crash Boat were heels. It was I didn't see Crash Boat wrestlers baby faces for like a year. And again, you get recommended by someone and you work on a show and you meet someone, and then I've made an impression because Jake got me the True Grit job. I think JC was doing the ring announcing himself. I think he had Priscilla do it the show before me.
Did you?
He said he needed a ring announcer. He posted that on Twitter, like, please apply. So Jake told me to. He said, apply for this. So I did. And I sent I didn't have this is the thing, I'm not very technically savvy. I didn't have a show reel. I didn't have any footage. Nothing. I just told him that I've worked for these people. If you need references, speak to these people because they work on your shows. And I don't know what Jake said to him, but he must have put me over because he got me the gig. I actually met JC years ago at GPW because he wrestled there, JC Thunder. I've met him maybe once or twice. He didn't remember. It's fine. And but yeah, the first show I did for True Grit was the January TV tapings. You know when they do the they did it at Pursuit. Yeah. Did that, and then there you go. That's it. I've been ring announcer ever since, and it is the best place I've ever worked.
Wow!
It is an amazing place to work. Not only in front of the camera, I feel like the venues are great, the audience is great, the storylines are really good, the production is great, the vibe is great, but backstage as well, it's just so well run. People could have bookers should really take notes from the way that things are run there. Money's never a problem. I know the card days in advance because he sends it in an email to all the talent. They all know what they're doing. I get my own briefing as well, of everything that I need to say. So, and the great thing is he lets me lets me kind of just go with it as well. Like, I do like to make a lot of jokes in between segments and stuff, and I know that you can cut those bits out, but you got to keep everyone up. And that's he won't like me putting him over like this, but I'm gonna. That's where I met Nathan Black.
Wow.
And got me. He again. I feel like nothing. I've never. I feel like I've never gotten a gig on my own back. I've always ever gotten gigs from other people, which is really nice. Like, it's lovely to feel that way.
But you keep them going back, dude. Regardless of how you get them, you keep them.
Yeah. I mean, it's great. And then met Jake, and he did a few shots for. He did Planet, which is
Planet.
Holbeck, and did that. And Nathan Black and Jake Silver was kind of a combination of getting me the job at Rise, which is an unbelievable place to work. Like, I say that in a good way and a bad way. Like, I asked him, I said, all right, yeah, what's Rise like? And then he just laughed at me. He said, don't worry about it. So I turned up. I didn't even speak to the booker, Danny Doherty. Like, spoil it, backstage scars, spoilers, and all that kind of stuff. But I didn't speak to him until the day I got there. Until the moment I walked in, I met him. I said, "Who is he? Which one?" He said, "It's that one." I said, "Right, okay, nice to meet you." Didn't get the card for the show until I turned up, and that's not a knock on anyone. It's just the way that it ended up being. And because I didn't know about the product, because Rise aren't on Twitter, and I don't really use Instagram that much. I didn't really know what I was getting into. And Jake Silver said, it's brutal if you're not on it. If you're not on the ball, it's brutal. You've got to keep them. You've got to keep on them. You've got to keep with them. You've got to go with it. Like, what they want to do. They basically run the show. So I was like, okay, all right, fair enough. And the funny thing is what I like about Rise so much is that a lot of the guys who work there that I've known Wing Commander Nash for years and years, and I'm always on shows with him, and he always makes a point to do something to mess with me. He got me to do headstand once in the middle of an interview segment. He made me run back and forth in an interview in True Grit once. But he doesn't do that gimmick at Rise. And a lot of people don't do the gimmicks that I'm used to, like Crash Boat. Like, they're completely different. Like, Jake's a heel, and like Rebecca Resner, she's fantastic, and she plays this crazy fangirl, and Jack Bandicoot. Jesus Christ. What a wrestler. He's next. Like, we've had Leon Slater, who I've worked with a few times, and he's going to be at the end of True Grit in the Jacob Ladder plug coming soon. But for me, he's next. He's outrageous how good he is. He's going to make me do a backflip one day, I can tell. But yeah, that kind of brings us up to the present day, really. I know I've kind of waffled for a while about myself. We can talk about other things in a minute.
No,
do myself, but that's where I'm at now. I'm working for True Grit, working for Rise, working for anyone who will have an overweight, slightly daft, charismatic, maybe, ringing out saying you like to make stupid jokes.
Dude, I think there's plenty of opportunities out there for you. But that's awesome. Like you say, man, you was out for like 7 years. You've come back in. Say don't just put it down to what other people, man. Just your hard work, your persistence, what you do, obviously makes you a credible recommendation. They won't recommend you.
I don't work hard. But don't tell anyone.
They think you do.
I mean, I appreciate that. No, I appreciate you saying that. I really enjoy it. Like, and I'm good at it as well. Like, you know, try not to put yourself over too much. You shouldn't really be, but I think I'm good. I'm good at it, and people, a lot of people have recognised this. When your peers, like fans telling you, fans telling you that you're good is great. I love it. I really appreciate the feedback. When your peers tell you that you're good and they recommend you for other people, that's when it really gets you in the heartstrings, you know.
They don't have to say it. I mean, fans are fans. They're gonna say it, A, to be nice, B, as well if it's true. But hearing it from somebody who's actually giving you money, as well as getting money and a compliment, is always better than just getting money.
I know, because I've got a massive ego. Like it's just one of those ways that I am. I love being told that I'm good at stuff. I love getting compliments. Like, it's really bad. Like, it's really bad. But like, if someone does it, it's just like, oh, like I was on. Someone just said a nice, like, someone said to me. Someone tweeted me last night after I posted my reel. Excuse me. After I posted my reel again,
yeah.
A really prominent ring announcer in North. He tweeted it and said that I was really good, and it's just really nice to hear things like that because he's really good. You know, shout out.
That's it. Oh, well, yeah. I mean, like I said, with the fans will say it, blah blah blah, but we've never done it. We don't know what it takes to do it, kind of thing. So when somebody who does know that says it, it means more. It carries more weight, kind of. So, but yeah, Rise, dude. I've got all my hands up. I watch everything they put on Instagram, but I've never yet made it to a Rise show, which I know I need to do. I live in Leeds.
I need to change that. I need to change.
I know.
Right, I want you to. You're gonna be there at the next one. It's January the 5th, which is the Rise Rumble.
Right.
It's a Rumble show, which is also Rise-ified, if you want to put it that way. So I'll be kept very busy that night, but I want to see you there. You better be there.
Right, I will make my New Year's resolution early. I will be at the Rise show in January because like I've been here for ages. I just think wrestling in Leeds is awesome at the minute. Like you said, you've got Rise, you've got True Grit. Nice to hear, awesome things about JC as well. I have him on every month when we talk about 97 wrestling kind of thing. So I love James. I think he's awesome. And then obviously Planet Wrestle, Jake. I think Planet Wrestle's a new promotion in Leeds, which is doing really well.
It's very fun. It's a very fun place to I've only done the one show. They've only put on 3. I didn't do the first one. They asked me to do the second one. I don't think I was available for the third one, but they're great. They're great for families as well.
Yes. Jake knows what he's doing. He's got that kind of whole sort of family entertainment vibe down, and it works very, very well. But yeah, it was nice to hear about HXC as well, because that was a memory I'd forgotten. I forgot that they even existed. I forgot that
like a repressed memory. I got it unlocked it.
And then you mentioned it. It was just like the penny drops. I was like, yes, I know them. I remember driving around Manchester for an hour trying to find the damn venue.
It was a nightmare. But yeah, that was like though. The funny thing is that a lot of the promotions that I've ever worked for don't exist anymore. It might be me. Is it me? But yeah, people. I hear the calls are always bring back HXC.
Yeah.
Bring back Great Bear. I'm free.
Violet as well. You mentioned Violet. Also a name from moons ago. I think she's back. I saw something about she come back.
She works. She's an old friend. Yeah, she works. Obviously, I don't see as much anymore, but she works for Pro Wrestling for You. I think.
Okay.
She works with Isaac. She works with Isaac North.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
I think. I can't remember where else she works at the minute. I know she posts things. She posts pictures and stuff, but I can never remember. It's just that kind of thing.
She was I did a load of artwork years ago. She was one of the first British talents that I did some artwork of as a fan. So I'll always kind of remember. And that was on the back of HXC. I remember seeing a HXC.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah, she's an old friend. Yeah, glad that she's back because she took a break too, I think.
Yeah, she did. And obviously,
that's the thing that I love. Sorry, that's the thing I loved about coming back in the start of 2022. Was it? Yeah, it must have been. Getting to see people that I hadn't seen for years. Like I mentioned at the start of the interview, I was in Lana Austin's induction class, and to see where she's gone from, how she's grown. Like, look, I say it in a really nice way. You wouldn't have thought it. When you look at her when she first started, she's always had that little grit and determination in her, that little feisty. She's feisty. She's good. She's a fighter. But the way that she's come on, it's unbelievable. Yeah. And it's really nice.
Progress champion. You can't get much better than that in this country, really. No.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like she's gone from always being paired with me in the technical stuff in wrestling class to Progress Women's Champion. What more can you say? She wouldn't have got there without me. I'm telling you.
You obviously just set on the right path very early on. Oh
yeah, stepping stone. Look where Zack Sabre Jr. is now.
Dude, it's not a coincidence. I'm telling you. Look at these names. Like you worked with Dragunov, Bates, Dunne.
I'm gonna pick all these up. You're gonna pick all these names up.
It's the cash influence. That's what it's all about.
But yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to think. Like, if there's anyone out there who's, again, there's two things I would like explain to people is if you're thinking about trying it, whatever it is, it doesn't have to be wrestling. It can be anything. If you're thinking about trying it, just do it. Just do it. You don't know where you're gonna go. Look with me. I finally decided to do it, and I've got really lucky with what I've been able to do. And I'm in no stretch of the imagination am I like well known. Am I the best? No. But you've got to just dive in. Just dive in and do it. And if you're taking a step away from whatever it is that you really wanted to do, really love doing, and you've decided for whatever reason to stop doing it, you get that little desire to dip a toe and try again. Just do it. Yeah. Because you've already lived your life without doing it. So if it doesn't work out the second time around, then you already know what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
So don't worry.
You can always, the door's never locked. It might be closed, but you can open it and go back through again at some point.
Yeah, I mean, would I have liked to have gone on to do more? Like, got bigger? I don't know how far it would have got me, bringing out and stuff. I would like to have wrestled eventually, because I was quite athletic back then. I just felt like I was a little bit. I mean, I got the ring announcing gig and then started doing ring announcing gigs and then not stopped training, but I didn't take my training as seriously. I'd turn up to training and I'd train, but I wouldn't like go to the gym or anything like that. I just thought, I'm doing this now, which is on me. That's on me. But I would just say, if anyone ever gives you an opportunity, like if you're a trainee wrestler, but they say we need a ref. If you're a trainee wrestler and they say we need a commentator, we need a ring announcer, do it. You won't be stuck there. Trust me. You won't be stuck doing it. It'll just be another thing that you can do. Can you wrestle? Yes. Can you ref? Yes. Can you manage? Yes. Can you this, that, the other? Can you do it? Yeah. Don't pigeonhole yourself into doing one thing. I think that's a lot of things that I've noticed is that guys just want to wrestle, and that's fine. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But try other things. Be a manager. Manage someone. Yeah. Try announcing. You don't have to work on a show to announce something. You can get a video online and record, just put it on mute or turn the commentary off. You can do that now, can't you?
Yeah.
And just record yourself commentating on the match. Like, just try things. You know, I've always got things in my brain like, what if I did this? What if I do this? Oh, this is a cool gimmick. I don't know what anyone else is like, but I'm very much, if I watch something on TV that's non-wrestling related, I always think,
yeah,
can that be a gimmick? Can that be a gimmick? I won't tell you any of my secrets right now, but you know. But I've not pigeonholed myself into being a ring announcer. It just so happens that that's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah,
I'm always available to do other things.
Exactly.
If someone says, I don't need a ring announcer, but can you... No, I can't. I'll be a colour commentator. I can't do play-by-play. I'm not savvy enough. Not like quick. That's why Mark Adams is so good. He just knows. Can't do that. But manager, on-screen authority figure, if they're ever booking something like that, I can do that. I'd love to do that. Like, I feel like I can talk on the mic. I feel like I can put a segment. I can keep a segment flowing.
Yeah.
I love doing in-ring interviews during shows.
Even Nash.
Yeah, if I did Nash Boat, or I did Brady Phillips at the last True Grit show. I love doing them. So if you're ever booking me, then if you want to do an in-ring segment, I'm all for it.
Nice. Dude, I've just clocked the time. We are coming close to an hour and 20 minutes.
It's too long. It's too long. Start again.
We'll scrub it back. No, dude, genuinely, man, that's a compliment, because I was trying to be aware of the time, but I've just been enjoying talking to you, so I've just literally clocked it like, oh crap. So we will wrap it up, but if you like, we will have a conversation again at some point down the line. Chat to you. We'll talk about my Rise experience in the new year.
Yes, that sounds brilliant. Yeah, I mean, an hour and 20 minutes. I think you've talked for about 5 of them.
It's my favorite interview, dude. I hate talking. It's funny, as daft as it sounds with me doing these kind of things. If somebody wants to talk, that's fine. It means I don't have to. So I'm more than happy.
Yeah, so that's fine. My next appearance is at True Grit Wrestling, November the 25th, Jacob's Ladder. Plug time. This camera. November the 25th, Jacob's Ladder at the Left Bank in Leeds. I mean, I know it's my job to put them over because I work for them, but I really don't need to do a lot.
No.
The main event is a triple threat ladder match for the tag belts. Brand new tag belts. They're going to be the first champions. Crash Boat versus Misery Business, which is Alan Kay and Joe Wade, versus Leon Slater and Jet Marshall. It might be the last time you see Leon Slater on these shows. It could be. So you got to buy your tickets. I think the front row might be sold out. Second row's going. The general admission is still available at this point. Then Serico and Rio will be teaming versus Ivy and Brady Phillips, and that's going to be really interesting because the winning team's non-champion gets a title shot against the losing team's champion. So that's a good
stipulation. I've never seen that stipulation before, and I was talking to JC about it. And
that's
a really good stipulation. I like it.
Yeah, I really like that. Because I think the easy thing to do in that stipulation is to just do a tag match where it's champion versus, but then you have to earn it. You've got to earn it. You can't just do it. You've got to earn it. I really like that. And the shows at Left Bank and Leeds are fantastic.
You've got HT Drake versus Priscilla as well.
Yes.
It's a total sort of mismatch.
It is a real big mismatch of styles there. But yeah, 25th of November, Left Bank Leeds. Tickets still available. And I say this to anyone, buy a raffle ticket because it pays my wages.
I didn't know that. I'll buy one. Okay. I never normally buy one.
Have you ever noticed why I like the raffle so much? No, but seriously. if you see me at a show, even if it's during a segment or during a match, you should be watching the match. Don't get me wrong. Come and say hello. Come and talk to me. Whatever you want to do. Like, yeah, I'm approachable.
Yes.
But
yeah,
I might be busy, but I'm approachable.
That's it. So, and that's the thing I love about True Grit. It's just like saying, Left Bank, man, it's an amazing venue. Absolutely love the venue. Just everything about it is just. Wrestling Jeebus said recently, you know, you never leave a True Grit show. You never leave a True Grit show unsatisfied. You're always happy when you.
No. Yeah, I mean, I've been. It's been coming up to a year, so it'll be the full calendar year almost now. And I told JC that the gaps between shows is too long.
Well, next year.
But next year, you know, you're gonna have to get on board, man. You have to get on board because it's going to be one a month, full steam ahead. Wife's due to give birth in March, so I might miss one or two, depending on how it goes. So,
we'll get Mark Adams for those ones.
He'll already be there, so it's fine. Okay, you can do it. You do it. You've seen how it's not hard. You see what I do. It's fine. What you do is you come in and you run the ropes. And you stick your microphone out, and then you pause for a breath. And then
say your name. Say your name.
Say your name. Say your name. Don't forget your name,
dude. That's been a genuine pleasure. Just tell people where they can see you. Obviously, you said not really on Insta, but on Twitter or X.
No, I have got it. Yeah, I just don't like. I'm on it a little bit more Instagram now, but yeah, you can catch me on Twitter at the Bobby Cash. Bobby Cash is taken by a dormant account, and they won't give it me. I've asked them loads of times, but it's the Bobby Cash because that was my Great Bear gimmick. I was the Bobby Cash, the A-lister.
I think it's better, dude, to be fair.
And then on Instagram, I'm the Cash Show. Don't know why. No idea. Oh no, I'm not. No, I changed it. Forget that. It's Bobby J Cash on Instagram if you want to follow me there. But yeah, like I say, True Grit, end of the month, Rise. You see me at True Grit, you see me at Rise. You might see me here, there, and everywhere. We'll just have to see how it goes.
Dude. Yeah. Also, and well, we will next time we talk, we'll discuss any future or any new opportunities that have arisen, and who recommended you for those ones.
Sounds good to me. Sounds good.
Right, hit like, hit subscribe, share, do the stuff that you always do after watching the show on YouTube. We will see you again very, very soon. Thank you for watching. Adios.